Hello and welcome to Round Robin. I'm your host, Robin McCormick, and we're going to talk about Crime Watch today and how people in a neighborhood can help look out for each other and band together with the city's police department to prevent and to stop or apprehend some of the crime out there, particularly property crime. My guests today are Corporal Mark Kincaid from the police department and Tom Newton, and Tom is with the Wythe Neighborhood Association. So Tom, I'm going to start with you because the Olde Wythe Neighborhood Association has a little bit of a story to tell about why you got involved in restarting Crime Watch in that area.
Right. We had some events that occurred that we wanted to get our neighborhood watch back into effect, and we worked for a while. It was, I think in the 80s, it was prevalent down in Olde Wythe, but now it is, of course, we've started it back up with the help of Corporal Kincaid and getting back on track, and have a large group of residents that have actually taken action to help us out do that watch.
So when you say take action, what does that mean? I think that crime watches have gotten a little bit of a bad rap recently because of the actions of maybe, one or two people that it's, you go after the criminals or something.
No, we don't do
like that.
We let the police do their job, and all we do is report incidents. So
your job is the watch part.
We do the watch. We watch. We observe, and that's it. And then that's all we do. And then we let the police take over from there.
So how do you go about, you're a good case study, how do you go about starting a crime watch organization in a neighborhood?
Well, we get the City of Hampton Police Department has a program that we take. It's a set of 4 courses that everyone that's interested comes and meets, that Corporal Kincaid stood up, and we basically take those courses and become a certified watch, is how we do that.
And you want to tell us a little bit about those? You go in and sort of gauge whether they're ready or tell them what they're in for?
Right, exactly. The way we run the Neighborhood Watch program here in the City of Hampton is we stick with the precepts and the guidelines for the National Neighborhood Watch Council. And in doing so, we educate our Neighborhood Watch folks through a series of 4 classes that we provide them. We make these mandatory before we designate an area as an official Neighborhood Watch group. And this allows us to develop those contacts and that rapport with the community, as well as educating them on how to run their Neighborhood Watch, give them tips, suggestions, as well as things to help make their lives and their property and their community a little bit more safer.
So this is 4 one-hour sessions. For how long does it take?
Correct. They're 4 one-hour sessions. We have the latitude to change the topics if we should deem necessary.
Some areas might have different problems than others do.
Correct. But right now we do identity theft, which is the fastest growing crime in the United States at the moment.
I don't think of that as being something you can watch for. It's not like you look out your window and
it's not, but we present that to the community so that they're aware of this type of crime that's going on, and they can educate their friends and families, particularly elderly family members who are the #1 target for this kind of crime. Then we move into home safety, reporting suspicious activity, and the last one are police operations, in which we discuss how we do the things that we do and why we do them.
So some of it is also getting to know and understand the police department.
Exactly.
You guys getting a chance to talk to people in the neighborhoods and just that face-to-face contact, so we all understand each other better and are operating from the same playbook.
Yes, exactly.
Well, what kind of problem was Olde Wythe having? Was it?
It was a series of different kinds of burglaries, break-ins, taking electronics, things like that, and then breaking into cars also. That was that type of thing. And it just, for whatever reason, we were having a number of those incidences occur last year.
Does it take something like that often to mobilize a neighborhood to want to take action?
Yes, quite often we do see that neighborhoods tend to bind together a lot closer when they have a series of events that occur in them. And while that's unfortunate for the neighborhood to have to experience those things, often we see the good that comes out of such trials.
Right, you don't want something bad to happen, but it does sort of bring people together, and it forces you to take action, really, to
and also
protect your property.
And what we do as part of the Neighborhood Watch, the area coordinators, what we do is we actually try to keep the block captains informed on a regular basis, touch base with them, because if things get quiet, people just kind of start saying, oh, well, okay, all's well, and then, so we have to keep people involved. It's a constant keeping people involved into the Neighborhood Watch too, after things have happened and things have gotten quiet.
So things have gotten better in Wythe, the rash of problems.
So far, we have had a reduction in the crime that we were experiencing last year.
Do you think, and I know I'm asking for speculation here, so if you're not comfortable, did you arrest people in connection with any of these, or did it just, they sort of realized they couldn't get away with it, that they were being monitored more closely?
Well, the police department brought to bear several different kinds of resources to help eliminate the issues and to get a handle on what was going on down there. I don't know if any specific arrests were made or not. I generally don't track those, but due to the efforts, a combined effort between the Neighborhood Watch members and the police department, there was noticeable turn of events down there, and we hope that it's an example to other Neighborhood Watch groups within the community that a powerful, proactive Neighborhood Watch group does have a positive effect on the crime rates within your community.
Okay, and so you're not just looking out the window seeing what's going on. A lot of it is taking in information from the police, distributing it to residents, taking in information from residents and sharing that with the police.
Right, it's sharing information, and we just observe and we watch and are more aware, and based on the courses, which were very good in terms of awareness and bringing about information that Corporal Kincaid gave, it opened up some people's eyes about what happens in their community or what can happen. And so based on that, we took that information, and so we're taking more action in terms of calling and the police and informing them, because if they don't know, they're not going to be out there. They don't know. I mean, they have routine, people that come out, the officers come out and ride through their neighborhoods, but unless they know of an occurrence, they're not going to know. They're not going to be aware of it. So we help them be aware of what's going on in our community.
So what are some kinds of things you might call the police for now that you wouldn't have called for a year and a half ago?
Well, personally, I would call the police if I saw any suspicious behavior. But we had residents in our community that have, and some of these are older folks, and they just have been there forever, and they just kind of take things in stride as they see them. And we've had people actually, we had a couple of guys that jumped a fence and to a backyard of a home, and the person that saw this happen, and they did not call the police and let them know that someone was trespassing on somebody's property.
Now, what do you think that is? Are people afraid to bother you? Are people afraid to,
this person,
snitch? I mean, what?
No, when I talked to the person and asked them, they just thought that they were crossing through the yard because they aren't aware that, it's an innocent thing. It was
things that used to be harmless. I mean,
right.
Kids run back and forth through neighborhoods all the time, but you never quite know. Right. It's different these days.
It is.
Okay, so were people also reluctant to call the police, though, because of?
Well, they didn't want to bother the police.
I mean, I feel that way.
They don't want to call if they're not sure.
Something is wrong.
If they're not sure. But we have been told by Hampton Police Department to call at any time if we see anything that we feel is suspicious at all. So, and a lot of people are doing that, I think, now more so than ever.
Yes, generally when we see a Neighborhood Watch group become reactivated or engaged with the police department, we see the calls for service for suspicious activity particularly go up in those communities, and that's a great thing because it allows us to help the community and respond to their concerns and their needs. As Tom said earlier, we don't always have the opportunity to move through every single neighborhood all the time,
right.
And we rely very heavily on the neighbors and the members of the community to let us know what they see and what's going on, so that we can then become involved more actively.
So do you give people the non-emergency number to call? Do you want them to call 911, or if it's just maybe suspicious but not a serious danger at the moment, what should people do?
Well, obviously, if it's a situation where there's an immediate threat to life, limb, or property, somebody is needing immediate emergency assistance right now, the primary number is 911. If it is something that is not as an emergent or it's not an immediate threat to life, limb, or property, we have the non-emergency line at 727-6111. Either way, what I tell people is if you're unsure, you're concerned, you're scared, you're nervous, you don't know which number to call, just call 911 and the dispatchers will be more than happy to help you with the process.
Because they can sort. They're trained
Yes.
to know what is the most important thing and how to essentially triage those
Yes,
calls.
our dispatchers, I've had the privilege of working closely with our dispatchers for about a year and a half, and they are some of the finest and best trained emergency 911 dispatchers, as far as I'm concerned, in the area. And they're very proactive in helping the caller in their complaints. Yes, ma'am.
So they'll help ferret out what's going on
Yes.
and how to route that information.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Are there some tips that you can offer, Corporal Kincaid, for people who don't attend 4 hours of your workshop, but just things to do that you can do to protect your home, your car, your property?
Absolutely. We start, first thing, we talk about reporting suspicious activity. When you're out checking your mail or you're driving to and from work or you're working on your front yard or whatever the case may be, if you notice something that is suspicious to you, what I tell that gets your spidey senses going, it is okay, it is preferable to give us a call and let us know what's going on. To keep your home safe, we teach lights, alarms, and locks. Lighting your property at night is a very powerful deterrent. Let's face it, criminals do not like the light. They don't want to be noticed. They want to be in the shadows. So by eliminating shadows on your property at night will help reduce the chances of you becoming victimized. Locks are very important first defense for your home. You need to make sure that you have good solid locks. Basically, you get what you paid for. So if you go down to the local store and you pay $5 for a lock, you're going to get $5 worth of security.
You want deadbolts, you want
some very physical barriers exactly to those, and we teach a little bit more of what that entails in the classes. And also, of course, alarms. Why we don't recommend one alarm company or one alarm system over another, they're individual as to each resident. There is a value to residential alarms, and if they're installed properly and they're geared towards the needs of the client, of the homeowners, they're very, very effective deterrent. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did that make a difference in your neighbors and what they did?
Absolutely. The alarm systems are a big thing, and it really is a deterrent. And the lighting, I've noticed through the neighborhood just driving around that more people are really using more lighting, outdoor lighting, passive motion device lighting types things. Also the bushes, cutting bushes back so that it's not just completely hiding part of the house or something where somebody can actually hide.
Right, you want to be able to see.
Right, you want to be able to see each other's and each other's neighbors. And interestingly enough, a lot of people think a privacy fence is a good thing to have. It's probably not, because your neighbor can't see your yard.
Nobody
so
can help
nobody
watch
can see
what they can't
anything.
see.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other tips you have for us today before we wrap up?
I would encourage every community member within the City of Hampton to get involved in a Neighborhood Watch program. It does take a little bit of front-end work to get it going on the community's part, but the police department and the city are there standing by to work hand in hand with our community members to get Neighborhood Watch programs up and running for them. That is statistically nationwide one of the biggest factors in the difference between a community that is victimized and a community that stands up and refuses to be victimized and find themselves more proactive in their own security in their own community. And we also find that by doing this, we bring back the old concept of a village, of a community coming together and looking after each other, looking after each other's children. And we find that this has a very positive impact on the livability of the entire Hampton community.
And certainly Hampton, one of Hampton's goals is to be the most livable city in Virginia. And we focus on that livability, and community is an important piece of that. Now, one thing I did forget to ask, what about apartment complexes?
We're seeing an actual increase in the number of apartment complexes that are stepping forward and wanting to get Neighborhood Watch programs started in their communities. The reason for that is because they're seeing a value to developing that sense of community and sense of self-protection within their community. I've certified several of the larger apartment communities in Hampton over the last 6 months, and they're finding that it's a very proactive, and it's a great selling point for them too, quite honestly.
For them, they can get tenants. People are more willing. I mean, that's one of the main concerns about apartments is how noisy it is, but also is it safe?
And as the economy switches to more of a rent-based economy as opposed to a homeowner economy, we're seeing the number of people turning to becoming renters in apartment communities on the increase.
So people may be renting for a longer period of time and more willing to think of it as a community. It's not a way stop while I save money or while I work here and then go somewhere else.
That is absolutely correct. So we're excited and very pleased that our apartment communities have stepped up and have asked us to come in and help them with these programs, and hopefully as time goes on we'll see that this has a very dramatic payoff for both the community and the police department.
That's great. And you'll come out and talk to neighborhood associations, even if they're not sure they're ready to start a watch, just tell them a little bit about what's involved or give them some tips, right?
Absolutely. We'll come out and talk to them. We'll give them a little presentation, question and answer, discuss what the Neighborhood Watch program is, how it works, and most importantly, what it is not, and some of the things that it is not meant to be, and allow them the information so they can go forward and develop their own Neighborhood Watch programs.
That's great. And do you know about how many we have in the city of Hampton?
Right now we're at about 287 individual neighborhood watch groups.
Wow, that's a bigger number than I would have thought.
It encompasses approximately 30,000 homes.
And some of them are big. I mean, the Olde Wythe Neighborhood Association is one of your larger groups.
There are 5 different neighborhood watch individual programs that make up the total Olde Wythe area. So.
But that's pretty good. But you're saying we have room for more. You'd still like to hear from a few more neighborhoods.
I would like to see every single street be an active participant in a neighborhood watch program of some sort. Absolutely.
All right. And how did they contact you, Corporal?
They start by contacting me through the Community Relations Unit. And the number is 727-6574. Okay. They'll talk to us there. I'll get them on my calendar and go out and do the initial presentation for them.
That's great. Now, are you the only one who does this, or do you have other people in your unit who also help?
No, there's others within the community relations program, but I've kind of been working with this for the last few years, so I'm usually the one that goes out and does them. And they're after hours most of the time so that we can accommodate the community and the residents' work schedule and things like that. And it's a real pleasure for me to do this. It's a way to be able to represent the police department and do what I can to help assist our community.
How long have you been with the police department?
It'll be 10 years this October.
Okay, and you just have a special bond or interest in working more directly with people? Well,
that's the nature of the modern police force, is we have realized a while ago that we need to be more community-oriented. We have to develop that interaction and that trust between the community and the police department. Otherwise, systems fall apart. And this is just one way in which we're able to interact with our communities, to be engaged, and to allow them to be engaged. Things such as Citizen Police Academy, Teen Police Academy, other programs like this that are very valuable in developing that personal relationship between the community and the police department.
So part of it is for people to understand what you all do, but just to get to know a few police officers and feel more comfortable, and just have those personal and neighborhood connections.
I've actually met with the officers in our areas that
so the beat people who work in
they come by, and we have actually sat and talked on my front porch about our community basically. And that's the thing about Neighborhood Watch. It's to build a community. And that's what it does. I mean, people live next to each other and there's neighbors, but you don't always meet your neighbors.
Yeah,
and this is a good way to kind of motivate people to want to meet the folks that live around them and get to know each other. So I've met a lot of really nice people from just being involved in the Neighborhood Watch from the events that we do. So it's a good thing. It's
That's
a really
great.
Good thing.
And Tom, you're not a lifelong Hampton resident, if I recall correctly.
No, I'm not.
You came here from
2 years ago from Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
With a military connection, or?
Basically for work, career brought me up here. So.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Love it in Hampton, like Hampton a lot. So.
Glad to hear that. And thank you for revitalizing the Olde Wythe Crime Watch. I think that's important. I used to live in Wythe, and I think it was probably during the time I was there that people sort of fell off on that. It takes a commitment, and a commitment to your neighborhood, commitment to your city, and I appreciate that you're doing that.
Absolutely.
And all of your volunteers.
Yeah. Thank you.
And thank you, Corporal Kincaid. It's
My
great
pleasure.
when people can see a face of the police department. It's, you know, it's not quite like that anonymous call. They've seen you on TV, they know you or some other police officers, and it really does encourage that sense of community.
You're welcome.
So thank you all for watching, and if you have any questions or tips, don't hesitate to call Corporal Kincaid or the Community Relations Department, and let's watch out for each other out there. Thank you.